Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Do you ever feel like your romantic relationship is stuck in a triggering cycle and you're really not sure how to get out of it? In this video, I'm going to dig into a little bit more of why that happens through the context of primary and secondary emotions and how to correct for it. My name is Raquel P. I'm a licensed professional counselor candidate in the state of Colorado. Basically, that's a therapist in the state of Colorado. So let's go ahead and get started. Last week, I talked a little bit about, I went in more depth about primary, secondary emotions, how that happens in our body, why that happens in our body, and it goes into more detail. In this video, I'm going to cover little bits of that just to provide the context that we're using to think about these cycles, these triggering cycles that our romantic relationships can get stuck in. So what are primary and secondary emotions? Primary emotion is the first emotion that enters into the body. Oftentimes this emotion can make us feel vulnerable, and it's not an easy space for our body to sit in. So the way that our body corrects for this is it covers that primary emotion up with a secondary emotion, an emotion that is easier for our bodies to handle, it's easier for our bodies to sit with. So, for example, let's say that a primary emotion enters my body. I'm having an interaction with someone, something is said to me or done to me that causes a primary emotion to enter into my body. Let's say that in this instance, this primary emotion is hurt. I have been hurt by whatever this person is saying. My body can't sit in that hurt. And so what it does is it covers it up with a secondary emotion. Let's say that in this instance, the secondary emotion that is covered up or that is used to cover this up is anger. Let's say that now it's anger that my body is feeling. Now anger is what is being projected out into my interaction with this other person, and that is the emotion that they are going to be receiving, the reactions to that secondary emotion. That primary emotion oftentimes goes unnoticed even by the person who is experiencing the primary emotion. It definitely will not get noticed by the person who is in the interaction, the other person that I'm interacting with, because now I am interacting from that secondary emotion, which in this case is anger. So how does this play a role in our romantic relationships? I'm going to go ahead and explain that. I think that it's going to be a little bit easier to follow that explanation and to see that explanation through if I draw some of that out. So let's go ahead and come over to my desk where I have a whiteboard set up and I can explain that cycle and that process. Excellent. Well, thanks for making it to my desk. Where I think it's going to be a little bit easier to understand this as I draw it out as I explain it. So, how secondary and primary emotions kind of interact and cause these cycles to happen when we are in romantic relationships. So, here we're going to have partner number one, and here we have partner number two. Let's say that partner number two did or said something to partner number one. Let's say in this case, it was a simple joke. Partner two said a joke to partner number one, and this, unbeknownst to partner number two, or partner number one, caused a trigger for partner number one, which actually created a primary emotion to enter into. That's why I have my little eraser here. It caused a primary emotion to enter into partner one's body. This primary emotion, let's say that in this example, this primary emotion is hurt. They were hurt by this joke. Again, unbeknownst to partner number two, and maybe even partner number one isn't aware of this either, but they got some hurt. Well, this hurt, it's too hard for partner number one's body to sit with. So their body very quickly, very automatically, unintentionally converts this into a secondary emotion. And let's say that the secondary emotion that it converts it to and it starts to bleed out, let's say that it's anger. Because anger in this case is a little bit easier for partner one's body to sit with than hurt is. And this is how their body has converted it. Now, once this conversion has happened, it bleeds out through anger. Anger, sometimes it produces somebody to be mean. Sometimes it produces an insult. And maybe sometimes it produces rude. Once it's bled out, their anger has bled out in this way, this is what partner two is seeing now. They're seeing the meanness, the insult, the rude. And it causes a primary emotion to enter into their body. Let's say that in this example, the primary emotion that enters is pain. They're in pain because of the insult that they received from their partner number one, because of their secondary emotion of anger that's bleeding out. However, partner two, this pain, it's too hard for them to sit in. So their body very quickly, automatically, without intention, converts this into a secondary emotion. Let's say that in this case, the secondary emotion that bleeds out is annoyance. Now they're bleeding out annoyance. And annoyance for them bleeds out in very similar ways. By being mean, maybe by being rude, maybe even by an insult. And once it's bled out in this way, this is what partner number one is getting from partner number two. And it enters into their body as a primary emotion. And the cycle continues. Primary emotion gets converted into that secondary emotion, which bleeds out in this way. So the interesting thing to note here is that number one, our primary emotions is not what is being received by the other partner. It's that secondary emotion that's being received. That secondary emotion oftentimes carries these things with us. The other thing to notice is that once we see the cycle, we can see how this cycle can continue, right? And we can see how this cycle can cause things to become very escalated quite quickly. So there are a few things that we can start to notice between our primary emotions, our secondary emotions, what is being seen and received by each partner, and how that cycle continues to perpetuate itself. So now that we have seen how primary and secondary emotions interact in our romantic relationships, you might think, great, wonderful, Raquel, this makes sense, right? But how do I stop that? How do I correct for when this cycle is happening in my romantic relationship? And in reality, in real time, because how we can see how that cycle can escalate and how those interactions can become very tense very quickly, it is going to be impossible for us to dive and dig down into primary emotions and notice that secondary emotions are at play in these interactions. So oftentimes what is easiest, what is best, is to just take a time out. During these interactions, when there's high tension, it is easiest just to say, you know what? This interaction is very tense. This interaction is very difficult. We are in a cycle and we are going to have to take a time out. My body needs to take a time out. And quite simply, that is what we can do in real time. Oftentimes, that is all we can do in real time. The other thing is sitting in that space of thinking of our secondary emotions and our primary emotions. But keep in mind, secondary emotions exist for a very good reason. They are there to protect our bodies from primary emotions. And it's important to know that, because when we're thinking about our secondary emotions or what is happening for us in the moment, what primary emotion might be lying underneath that secondary emotion, it's a very difficult place for our bodies to be in. We have to be gentle, we have to be kind, and we have to practice that gentle kindness with our bodies as we are thinking about primary emotions. Because again, secondary emotions exist with very good reason. Well, friends, thank you so much for logging in, taking time out of your busy day to watch this video. I really appreciate that. If you have found anything in this video to be helpful or useful to you, I would greatly appreciate for you to hit that like button down at the bottom or that subscribe button down at the bottom to see more content. Content is posted every Friday and you can know when that content is coming, and so that you can take a look at it and see if you find it useful at all. As always, please pop a comment down below if there's anything that you would like to see me bring to this channel, or if there's any questions that maybe this video brought to your mind. Thanks again for joining. I hope to see you next time. I've also gone ahead and added my video about secondary and primary emotions. If you're more interested in that, I've gone ahead and placed it right here. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.